Thank you for joining Let's Meet Where We Eat, conversations with innovation and entrepreneurship leaders who specialize in food and nutrition. Our series is presented by Nourish Cafe and the Food and Nutrition Innovation Institute at the Tufts Friedman School for Nutrition Science and Policy. Enjoy.
We are joined today by Sara Eckhouse, Executive Director of Foodshot Global. Foodshot Global is a collaborative integrated capital platform of investors, industry leaders, innovators, and advocates who are working together to create scalable, impactful, and inspired solutions, moonshots for better food. With the $500,000 plus groundbreaker prize and up to $10 million in equity investment, Foodshot Global empowers bold ideas and innovative companies to accelerate the transformation to a healthy, sustainable, and equitable food system. Working with over 20 partners from around the world, Sara successfully launched inaugural and follow-up food shots in soil health, precision protein, and bioactive foods. Previously, Sara worked as a consultant with S2G Ventures, where she provided insights to over 30 portfolio companies in order to support effective business strategies, develop new supply chain partnerships, and help them utilize relevant USDA programs and resources. Prior to that, Sara served as Senior Advisor to Secretary Tom Vilsack at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, where she focused on local and regional food systems, organic agriculture, and healthy food access. At USDA, Sara worked with a range of stakeholders to identify existing programs and develop new tools to support local agriculture. Sara also worked in the Obama White House in the Office of Legislative Affairs and as a field organizer in the 2008 Obama presidential campaign. She graduated magna cum laude from Harvard College. And ask you a few questions before we get started with our Q&A. So today we're joined by Sara Eckhouse, Executive Director of Foodshot Global. Foodshot Global is a collaborative, integrated capital platform of investors, industry leaders, innovators, and advocates who are working together to create scalable, impactful, and inspired solutions, moonshots for better food. With the $500,000 plus groundbreaker prize and up to $10 million in equity investment, Foodshot Global empowers bold ideas and innovative companies to accelerate the transformation to a healthy, sustainable, and equitable food system. Working with over 20 partners from around the world, Sara successfully launched integral and follow-up food shots in soil health, precision protein, and bioactive foods. Previously, Sara worked as a consultant with S2G Ventures, where she provided insight to over 30 portfolio companies in order to support effective business strategies, develop new supply chain partnerships, and help them utilize relevant USDA programs and resources. Prior to that, Sara served as Senior Advisor to Secretary Tom Vilsack at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, where she focused on local and regional food systems, organic agriculture, and healthy food access. At USDA, Sara worked with a range of stakeholders to identify existing programs and develop new tools to support local, organic, and sustainable agriculture. Sara also worked in the Obama House, the Office of Legislative Affairs, and as a field organizer on the 2008 Obama presidential campaign. She graduated magna cum laude from Harvard College. So Sara, wow. We're so lucky to have you here with us today.
Some of your resumes will look like that.
Yeah, that is amazing. We're really lucky to have you here. So I'd like to kick off the conversation by learning a little bit more about your organization, Foodshot Global. And in that, can you tell us a little bit about your journey to the organization and the role that you do in supporting innovation and entrepreneurship?
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be here. Really exciting. I was just at Tufts for the Food Nutrition Innovation Conference, and I know you guys are doing really great work there. So Foodshot is, like you said, a collaborative integrated capital platform focused on innovation for a healthier, more sustainable, more equitable food system. We have a collaborative model, so we have 20 plus partners around the world, from universities like UC Davis, Wageningen University, to foundations, the Rockefeller Foundation, the Foundation for Food and Ag Research, the Builders Vision, and a number of venture funds and other NGOs like the Soil Health Institute, the Nature Conservancy banks like Rabobank, and large corporates like Mars. And because we have that diversity of partners, we're able to offer both non-dilutive kind of prize funding, which is available for researchers, early stage entrepreneurs, and policy advocates, as well as equity funding, which comes directly via our venture partners for-profit businesses. And in this way, we're able to help innovation kind of from the earliest stages, when it's maybe coming out of a university or a lab, through to when it's ready for investment, and even beyond with market access, kind of product validation, research, et cetera. And we focus on what we call these food shots, or moonshots for better food. So they're different kind of challenge areas that we see as key leverage points for transforming the food system. So we started at the ground level with soil, where we were looking at soil as a medium to improve nutrient availability, improve farmer profitability, and improve ecosystem restoration. And then we moved on to protein, looking kind of more precisely at protein and the amino acid composition, and what we need to do to provide protein and meaningful protein nutrition to a global population, while also conserving natural resources. So looking at all different protein sectors, from animal source proteins to plant, to kind of some of the newer alternative, insects or fungi or cell-based or whatnot, and looking across those and looking for innovation and improvements. And then our most recent was bioactive foods, which is really looking at the food health nexus, not only how food can be used as a preventative and therapeutic to address chronic disease and reduce the disease burden, but also how that food is grown and how that impacts the nutrient availability, and also impacts that has on health and issues like water quality, air quality, exposure to chemicals and pesticides, both for the people consuming the food and for the people growing the food. I think there's a tendency not to think about farm workers. So Julia, what you were talking about with labor issues, I think are really important. And, I came to this work from the Department of Agriculture, where I worked for most of the Obama administration. And, I had really a great privilege to work there. I learned a huge amount about government resources and support, local and regional food systems, public-private partnerships. At the end of the Obama administration, it was pretty clear that some of the things that I thought were really important were not going to be priorities for the next administration. And I also felt like there was really a lot of momentum within the private sector to address some of these issues. And so I had met Victor Friedberg, is the co-founder of S2G and founder of Foodshot, and he had kind of brought up this concept. And so then we basically worked together starting in 2017 to launch Foodshot. And we launched our first official Foodshot in 2018. So it's been a very exciting few years, and we're preparing to announce the winners of our bioactive foods cycle, and then we'll be launching our next Foodshot as well in the coming months.
Awesome. So that's a good segue into how you determine the priorities of Foodshot Global, and on top of that, what makes a good Foodshot idea and what doesn't.
Yeah, that's a great. So we work very closely with our partners in determining what the Foodshot will be, in terms of what is where we have capacities, where they have interests in terms of investment and maybe research capacity or kind of knowledge, where things are in terms of alignment with the sustainability, UN Sustainable Development Goals, how things align with our mission of, healthier, more sustainable, more equitable food systems. So that's all how we kind of identify what the Foodshot will be, and it's a very collaborative process. Then we put out basically a call for applications for-profit businesses to apply with their concepts or proposals. And then we also put out a call for nominations for the Groundbreaker Prize, which is the non-dilutive kind of MacArthur style prize. The criteria are similar for those two in terms of they need to align very closely with Food Shot's mission. They need to align with the specific food shot for which they are applying. So whether it's, the soil, the precision protein or whatnot, they need to be impactful, innovative, scalable. And then much more on the for-profit side, they need to be investable. And so, they really need to have a model for sustainability and being able to kind of fund themselves on an ongoing way. And we also look at global impact, and more global relevance, because we don't necessarily feel like it needs to be a project that is already at a global scale, but we think it should have global relevance. So in terms of, addressing protein issues, not just in the US where, people already eat a lot of animal protein, but also thinking about how do we improve protein for people in lower income countries that don't necessarily have access to high quality protein. So one of the women who won in our precision protein food shot is breeding legumes and pulses to increase nutrient bioavailability and increase protein quality of those, and so and digestibility. And so that is something that we think about for it's obviously she's doing that work at Clemson, but it's obviously going to be something that would have relevance in places like India or sub-Saharan Africa, where there can be protein deficiencies, especially in children and older adults. So that's the type of framework that we're thinking about.
Awesome. And how has your past experience in public service influenced your role as an executive director at Food Shot Global?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think working at USDA really helped me understand the big picture of things and the systems that the various kind of different factors and variables that come into play with the food system, and how interconnected everything is. And so I think and Victor has really had that view as well. It's a real systems view. So thinking about the consequences and ripple impacts of any kind of innovation or systems change, and that we are trying to think about transforming the whole system, not necessarily just supporting a product that might have a market. It might be a tasty product, but is that really going to change the system and how things work at a systemic level? And that's why I think some of the enabling technologies around, like using, understanding the microbiome more clearly, and, using enzymes to extract more nutrients from food. These are the things that I at least get more excited about, because than I am about maybe a CPG type of product, and things that can really have a large scalable impact in changing the system, because we know that so much of the challenge around food when it comes to environmental impact and when it comes to health impacts is not necessarily about the individual, it's about the system and the food environment that we operate under. There was just a study that came out about some of the largest food companies in the world and the commitments that they've made around healthy products. But the large majority of their product portfolio is still, high sugar, high fat, high salt. And we can try to help people eat healthier at an individual level, but it's going to be a lot easier if we can change the system and create improvements both at a policy level and, with innovation that enable help people make better choices and make it easier for people to have access to the foods that they need and to afford them and to prepare them in a way that is nutritious. So I think there's it also kind of influenced our decision to include policy as part of what we're looking for in the prize, because you can have all the innovation in the world, if the policies don't support adoption, there's usually a kind of activation energy that you have to get over in terms of a cost of adopting a new technology. And if you don't have incentives and policy practices in place that help you get over that, it's going to be very hard to actually see change.
Can I ask a question though? Can a policy be a moonshot, Sarah?
Yeah, I think it can. I think if you have a plan for implementing and achieving a policy goal, like one thing that I've, talked about, and I know it's been a thing that people have talked about for a long time, is, making it so that insurance subsidies for crop insurance are dependent on producers complying with known best practices around soil health. So yes, we spend, billions of dollars a year on crop insurance subsidies. Why should we not ask for something in return in terms of complying with very well-known and accepted best practices? Nothing outrageous. We're just saying, cover crops, crop rotations, things like that. And I think that's a reasonable thing that we should expect in return for the billions of dollars in financial support that we give to farmers. If somebody had a real plan and a way of implementing that, I think that could make a big difference. And I would be very excited to see that go through.
Very cool. My last question before we open it up to the group, I just want to know, what is some advice you'd give to folks who have a moonshot idea or a food shot idea, but don't know where to start?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to start talking to people about it, kind of testing it, identifying if it's really something that serves a population, if it's something that is needed. If it's an agricultural tool, like, do farmers want it? You got to do some kind of ground truth testing to make sure, if it's a nutritional product, do people like how it tastes? Because it's going to be very hard to get any product off the ground if people don't enjoy the taste. And then thinking of, I think having a team that you work with, you guys are all in a great position in terms of being at Tufts, where you have professors and industry experts and each other that you can bounce ideas off of. So I think that's, one of the first steps to think about. And then I think start thinking about how you want to present it and building kind of a evidence base for why it's valuable.